Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of JoyBaking.com. Today we're going to make strawberry blueberry frozen pops, and this is what they look like. These are delicious. They're a mixture of fresh strawberries and blueberries with some sugar syrup and yogurt. So the first thing we need to do is to make our sugar syrup, also known as a simple syrup, which is really kind of just a fancy name of a mixture of sugar and water. So I have a small saucepan here. And we're going to use, sugar syrups you have different proportions of sugar to water. For this one, we're using equal amounts. So I have a half a cup, 120 milliliters I'm using filtered water, and a half a cup, 100 grams of granulated white sugar. So really, all I'm going to do is put this on medium-high heat, and the purpose of this is really just to dissolve the sugar. So I'm just going to bring it up to a boil and boil it until the sugar is dissolved. Okay, so it's up to a boil, sugar is dissolved. So take it off the heat. That's it. Now, we don't want to make our mixture, our popsicle mixture, with this hot. So what I really like to do, you want to cool it down at least to room temperature. My preference is to chill it. The great part is you can make this sugar syrup up to 2 weeks ahead of time and just put it in a covered container in the refrigerator. So what I'm going to do, let that cool down, and then when we come back, we will make our frozen pops. So to make our strawberry blueberry mixture, I'm going to use a food processor. You could also use a blender for this. And first you will need a half a pound, which is 225 grams of fresh strawberries. Of course, wash your berries and cut off the tops. And then I've just coarsely chopped them. And then I'm also using half a pound, 225 grams of fresh blueberries. Again, wash them. If there was any stems, remove those. And of course, when you pick through your berries, make sure there's no soft ones or, rotten ones. You want nice fresh ones. So what I'm going to do is just process this a little, puree them. Oop. There we go. Okay. They're just not completely pureed, just a little. And then I'm going to add our chilled sugar syrup, sweeten our berries, and then what I like to add is 1/3 of a cup, 80 milliliters, 80 grams of a flavored yogurt. Today I'm using actually a blueberry. You use strawberry. Sometimes I've used lemon. You could even just use a plain. So I'll leave that up to you. I like the, frozen pops have kind of an icy texture to them, but adding a little bit of yogurt not only adds flavor, but it also adds like a little bit of creaminess. So what I'm going to do now is just simply puree this until it's a nice mixture. Okay. Now how much you puree it depends whether, do you want little chunks of fruit in your frozen pops? If you do, then don't process it as much. If you want it like a really smooth, more like a frozen ice, then puree it a lot. I'll leave that up to you. So now you will need your popsicle mold. Now for this amount of mixture, this is for 10 popsicles. I would say 8, 10. It really depends on the size. These ones hold almost 1/3 of a cup, 80 milliliters of mixture, so you can kind of, whatever yours holds. And if you didn't have a popsicle mold, you could just use little paper cups as well. So now it's hard to get that into the mold. So what I do is, I'm just going to pour it a little here, is I use some container with the spout. I kind of like these ones because they're silicone and they kind of squish them. And then fill your molds. Now don't fill all the way to the top. because they do expand a little as they freeze, so leave a little room at the top. You know, this is, you could just drink this, like kind of as a smoothie, if you had any left over. And our last one. Put a little more in there. So, what I like to do is to put the tray, your popsicle tray, on a baking sheet. I find that easier to get it in and out of the freezer. So, and also if you did slop, which we all do, just take a paper towel and just kind of clean up the top of your mold. And then, if yours is like mine, just put the cover on, and then you take some popsicle sticks and put them in. Now, if you were using paper cups, what you would do is fill your little paper cups. You'd have to put them in the freezer and freeze them part way and then take them out once they start to get firm up, and then put your sticks in. So either way. So I'm just going to do that. Whoop, dropped one. And then what we're going to do is put this into the freezer until they're frozen. I would say usually 8 hours. A lot of times I like overnight. Depends on how cold your freezer is. And then when we come back, we will try one. So, they're frozen. I made these ones yesterday. Now what I do to release the frozen pops from the mold is just run this part under hot water. Or you could take a big bowl, put some hot water in it, and submerge the whole thing in. So, here we have it. I think these look so cool. And as you can see, or maybe you could see, I didn't process the mixture too much, so you do see pieces of fruit, which is what I like. It makes them look like a homemade, fresh fruit pop. So, they're nice and kind of icy, but not too icy. With that little bit of yogurt, adds a little, like just a touch of creaminess, which I like. And these are delicious. I mean, I make these all the time. If you have kids, great way to get them to enjoy fresh fruit. You could vary your fruit if you want. Have fun with that. Change it up. You could use some peaches, or you use blackberries, or really any combination. And the yogurt, like I said, you could use different flavored yogurts. These are so good. You have to make these. And until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of JoyBaking.com.